So we're sitting in an Audi Q8 50 TDI S. As you can see down here on the steering wheel beautifully, the vehicle is locked. We're already sitting in it and we're going to unlock it now. I've got this key here. The keys got 3 buttons. One is to lock the vehicle, one is to open the trunk, and one is to unlock the vehicle. I'm going to do that now. The hazard lights are flashing. And now I'm going to open the door, pretending I'm entering the car. And the instrument cluster goes on immediately. Now I'm going to press the start-stop button to turn on the ignition. And there comes a sound. Welcoming us on board. Now let's have a look on the arrangements of the displays in the dashboard. There's a classical instrument cluster showing a speedometer and a tachometer on the right side. And the control lamps are displayed in the upper area. Then next to the instrument cluster in the center area of the vehicle, there's a relatively large head unit with shortcuts on the left side. We're going to have a closer look on this later on in another video. And below there's the climate controls, which are fully digital, like in the Audi A8 for example, and they are controlled by a touch screen as well. And then we move on to the few hardkeys the vehicle offers, like the start-stop button, a shortcut to park distance control, and a shortcut to the safety functions, which are displayed up here. We're going to have a closer look on that later on. There's a gear lever, of course. Then there's the display of the gear shift, the parking brake, and the auto hold function. In the upper right corner, there's the classical volume knob to adjust the media volume. Now we're leaving the vehicle again. I'm switching off the ignition. There comes an advice in the head unit, who's the main user. I'm seeing the Audi logo in the instrument cluster, and I'm opening the door as if I was leaving the vehicle. I'm closing it, and now I'm locking the vehicle via the key, and all the displays are turning dark. We're looking at the buttons on the steering wheel. There's a left-right button to flip through menus. I'm pressing them now, left and right. Then there's kind of a context menu button that shows different menus depending on where you are in the instrument cluster. Then right next to this, there's a little wheel that you can also push down to confirm something, like an OK button, and you can scroll in and out or flip through a list with it. Then there's a view button to minimize and maximize the tachometer and speedometer. You can use this in every menu. So now let's flip through the instrument cluster. Right now we are in the navigation mode. In the upper area there's kind of a Nav Bar showing us where we are. We're flipping to the left. There comes a note, please connect your mobile phone or insert a SIM card. So yeah, let's connect the mobile phone. To do so, we have to go to the head unit and click on media. Then we click on source and connect an external device. And there's a new connection on the left side, and now we're connecting a new phone. It's searching, and there it is, Sylvester's iPhone. We're choosing this. And it's connecting, and there comes a passkey request that is shown on the cell phone as well. Well, we have to confirm this. We did so, and here we go. Successfully connected. And here we can see a call list of some private numbers. So we flip further to the next section, which is media. And we see a song playing from the cell phone. Now when I press that context menu button, I got the option to change the source and switch to radio. And now we're in radio and can choose broadcasting stations. Let's move on to the notifications. There it says, please add washer fluid. With a little wheel we could scroll up and down, but there are no further notifications. And if we move on, there's kind of an overall menu where you can change things like date and time or consumption. And there's information on the AdBlue range, quite an interesting information. The short-term memory, long-term memory, the energy consumption, and the driver assistance and traffic signs. Just to show it, we're changing the style now, or the view. And there you can see the oil temperature as well, and flip through the menu on the left side. And as I said before, you can change this view in any menu and get a slightly different layout, as you can see here in radio, for instance. Now we move on to the head unit to change the so-called virtual cockpit, which is like the left side in the instrument cluster, left tube. And there in the head unit we can change the content under settings and display and brightness, and there's the virtual cockpit. And there we can simply choose what we want to have there. And if I change the view, it kind of pops out and on top of the tachometer. And it's very simply to understand. You really get every information you need in the instrument cluster, and you feel at home immediately. So let's move on to the head unit. On the left side you get some shortcuts you can edit, and in the upper area there's kind of a menu with shortcuts that shows messages or other notifications. If you click on the upper right corner, there basically comes the same menu actually. And in the central area there's the major functions actually with the thumbnails. We get 2 pages. There's weather, there's a separate feature. So let's have a look on the shortcuts again. Besides simply choosing the features, you can long press the shortcut and then you redirect it to a menu where you can simply change your shortcuts via drag and drop. So I'm taking settings, flipping it over navigation, and navigation now is deleted. Via long press I can also change the position of the shortcuts. And in the home screen I can via long press also change the order. Just let's try it. So there's a long press, and now I can change the order of the icon in the head unit. So now let's have a look on the Nav bar coming from the upper area, and click on profile for instance. And this brings us to a menu where you can set up some profiles, even a guest profile. So let's take profile 6 and use it or apply it. The instrument cluster now is adopting as well. Climate controls, loudness of the radio, the position of the steering wheel and the seats, everything is adopted to this profile. We're choosing the language, okay. Now we can connect the phone. It's kind of a phone wizard, so when you're doing this the first time, this is really helpful. So we click on continue just to show how this works. I either can put in a SIM card or connect a phone. There comes an advice that the car is equipped with a My Audi app. You can see more of that in our screens online database. Click on continue now. You have to register. We did this in screens as well. There's the vehicle number to add the car in the app. Just click on continue. As I said, we really did this in detail in our online benchmarking platform screens. Now we can change the name of the profile. We're choosing the name screens. Now there was a typo again. And I'm entering this name via touch screen. This is on the subunit now. There's kind of a keyboard. So again, screens. Here we go. Click OK. So that was the keyboard was on the display where regularly the climate controls are. So everything you're missing here now you find in our online database. And now the profile is set, and click back to the home screen, click on profiles, and there it should be actually. Here we go, screens, and it is applied already. So if we choose profile 5 and apply this, everything changes again, the seats, the steering wheel, the climate controls, everything. The instrument cluster takes a while until everything is set. And so now let's have a look on the home screen and simply click through all the features so that you can see them. There was radio, get some information on traffic announcements and media. They can switch between different sources. There's that song playing. Then telephone. There's search call list. There's car. Got lots of setting options and dozens of sub-menus. You will find all that in our database as well. Thousands of interactions actually. Then we click on navigation. We're going to see that later on in detail. It comes an overlay with giving you advice of how all these shortcuts on the map are to be used. Then there's a settings menu with lots of setting options for all the features in the entire vehicle. Then there's help. If you click on that, there's a setup wizard, which is quite handy to find this under help if you don't know the vehicle. Very good. Then there's user, which is like where we've been before. Messages, we don't have any messages there. And news, which are being loaded. Let's see if there comes something. Yes, we got the internet connection and there's some messages displayed. And there's dozens of news pages, as you can see. Then let's click on home again and on weather, which is a separate function in the Audi. And here we go. This is the current weather. We're in Uhingen, but Berlin was saved as a favorite location. This is why we have the weather of Berlin as well. There's a 7-day weather forecast. Really everything you can imagine. That was it with our head unit introduction.